All right. Hey. All right. So that's why the oven, heating up the oven for the kid getting home from college. I'm gonna try and rip this whole box by 7:05, which is the expected arrival time of my wife and kids back from college. I honestly don't want to do this if no one's really going to be in here. Because, I mean, let's, we warm up with something here. NFL football kickoff 94. They got Pogs in them. Remember Pogs? Little round pieces of cardboard you flick at each other. Norm Van Brocklin, Jim Otto, Ken Anderson, Lance Allworth. Got Sam Huff. Take a look at the back. Lem Barney, Jack Lambert. We got Don Shula, Chalkboard Legends. There's always a Brett Favre in these. And a Neil O'Donnell. I think those were the two big quarterbacks in 1994. Coming up, Neil O'Donnell. There's a Bart Starr. And there's our Pogs. All right, well, I got one more warm-up pack, and then we're going to start ripping into this 1990 Fleer. And if we get, let's say 30 likes, that's not that many. Get 30 likes, I got a couple packs of 1987 Topps football back there. We'll open those up for 30 likes. Bob Lilly, Tony Dorsett, Leroy Irvin, Bronco Nagurski, Mel Gray, Don Maynard. Hey, there's the Juice. OJ. Another Tom Landry. Another Neil O'Donnell. We got the golden checklist there. And more Pogs. All right. Hello. Good evening. I am waiting for my family to get home. I got my kid at college, and we're going to race against time to get this whole box ripped in the next 45 minutes. So, without delay, 1990 Fleer football. We got a lot of good cards in here. Montana, Rice, Bo Jackson, Jack Trudeau, Gary Hodgebroom, Roland James, Bob Gagliano, Bill Bates, Eric McMillan, Travis McNeil, Tony Casillas, Gary Zimmerman, Doug Reisenberg, Derek Hill, Andre Ware. That was a big card to pull back then. Mike Walter, Gerald Riggs, and Anthony Munoz. All right, let's keep going. How is everybody this evening? We are ripping against time here. Got 45 minutes to get through this whole box. Johnny Meads, Wilbur Marshall. He was on the 85 Bears. David Fulcher, David Treadwell, Bert Grossman, Donnell Thompson, Jeff George. That was another big draft pick. Stanley Morgan. Hey, there's a Mike Singletary. And a Troy Aikman. All right. Couple of good cards back to back. This pack's not bad. Don Warren, Lee Williams, Anthony Tony, Scott Studwell. Look at him being all studly. And Sean Landetta. Roxana, hi. Welcome in. Appreciate you being here. We're looking for 30 likes on the live stream today. At 30 likes, we're going to open up a couple of packs of 1987. Looking for second-year Rice or the Randall Cunningham rookie. Clyde Simmons, Kirk Loudermilk, Jeff Dallenbach. Hey, there's Bo Jackson. That's a nice card. Little off-center. Probably won't send that for grading. Lionel Manuel. Lewis Lips. Give those lips a kiss. Jim Everett. I'm out of stands. I kind of don't want to block. We're going to have to. Andre Reed. This is a good pack. Eric Metcalf. Leonard Griffin. Joe Montana. I mean, Charles Mann, Lewis Billups, Orson Mobley. That was a great pack. All right, we are just going to keep ripping here. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I open up at least 2 packs of junk wax every single day. You don't want to miss any of that action. Troy Benson, do a couple of goofy videos throughout the week. Roy Green, Lars Tate, Norm Johnson. We got a Jimbo Covert, All-Pro. All right, Chris Spielman. And there's Richard Dent. Eric Martin, Mark Murphy, Ron Heller. Ron Heller? All right, what's going on here? They can't both be Ron Heller. What the heck is going on here? This Ron Heller started his career in 1987. This Heller, I mean, I've never seen that. Are there 2 players named that happen to be named Ron Heller? Wade Wilson, E.J. Jr., Steve Smith, Dave Meggett. Well, I'm going to have to look that up. We'll figure that out. All right, let's keep going. We've got like 30 to 40 minutes to get through this whole box. Bruce Ramirez, Carl Mecklenburg, Gil Bird, Clarence Verdon, Broderick Thomas, Cedric Jones, James Thornton, Steve Walsh, Sam Mills, Ed Reynolds. Hey, Randall Cunningham. If we get to 30 likes, we might be able to pull his rookie from the 87 packs back there. Mark Clayton, Howie Long, Eugene Lockhart, and Bruce Smith. That was a pretty good pack. All right, let's keep going because we don't have time to slow down. 1990. I mean, we got the Montana. We're looking for a Rice. Oh, there's my oven. Hold on real quick. I remember when appliances didn't used to sing. All right, Chris Carter, Ray Berry, Dan Marino, best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. Put him in front of Jim Everett, Steve Berline, Mark Bavaro, Keith Willis, Tom Newberry, Pete Metzelaars, Frank Minifield, Bill Moss, Ronnie Lott, Dean Stankaller, Mark Rippon, Ricky Dixon, and Simon Fletcher. All right, we're going to keep ripping here. Say hi in the chat if you're in here. Let's get the chat rolling. Who's your favorite, I don't know, football player from the early 90s? What do you think your team, who's your team and how do you think they're going to do this year? Mike Wilcher, Leonard Smith, Reggie Longhorn, Stefan Page, right? Keena Turner, brother of Tina Turner. Drew Hill, Art Monk, all right. Bruce Ramirez, Carl Mecklenburg. Got Gil Bird, I think we've seen this before. Clarence Verdon, Broderick Thomas, Cedric Jones, James Thornton, and Steve Walsh. All right, no time to slow down. Anthony Miller starts off this next pack. Ron Stark, Percy Snow, Danny Villa, Richard Johnson, Michael Irvin. We'll put up Michael Irvin. I don't want him to fall over. That stand is full. Ed West, hey, it's our first checklist. Andre Bruce, Rich Gannon, Jeff Hostetler, David Little, Brian Brennan, Pete Mandalay, and Chip Lohmiller. All right, we're going to keep ripping because we have very little time. If you're just joining us, I really appreciate it. I'm glad that I'm not doing this for nobody. Hit that, double tap the screen, and like the video. At 30 likes, we're going to open up the 87 packs. Dwayne Burkett, Ricky Reynolds, Steve Grogan, Neil Anderson. Excellent. Oh, hey, Vinny. How you doing? Jim Jeffcoat, Morton Anderson, Otis Anderson, Jerome Brown, Bill Brooks, Mike Harden, Vince Newsom, Scott Rederick, Charles Haley, Alonzo Highsmith, and Greg Cragen. That is a lot of cards to go. We're keeping on. I appreciate the love, man. This whole box, I just picked up this box in a deal I got over the weekend. I got 7 of these boxes, a whole bunch of other football boxes, and a couple boxes of hockey cards. So we'll be ripping through those. John L. Williams, we got an All-Pro. Jerry Rice, All-Pro card. That's nice. Nice Rice. We're going to put him right up here, right in front. And a Barry Sanders right behind him. All right. Hey, get some fire in the chat for this pack. Look at this. Brad Muster, Jim Dombrowski, the Magic Man, Don Majikowski, Mike Ken, Seth. I don't trust people with 2 first names. Mike Ken. I'm just saying. I was putting that out there. Seth Joyner, Chris Dolman, Mark Super Duper, Bob Golick, Eric Howard, Bobby Brister, Pete Holohan, and Mark Kelso. All right. Let's keep going through this box about a third of the way through. Ray Childress. And we got so many good cards. I forgot, the design on these isn't actually that bad. Tyrone Braxton, Tony Eason, Lewis Sharp, Paul Gruber. A lot better than the baseball side of Fleer that year. Brian Blades, Eric Williams, Ron Morris, John Forcade, Perry Kemp, Keith Jones, Eric Allen, Herschel Walker, failed Senate candidate, Herschel Walker, Farrell Edmonds, and Don Moosebar. A moose walks into a bar. The bartender says, just double tap the screen and give me a like. At 30 likes, we're going to open up the 1987 packs back there. All right. Bubba Paris, Lorenzo White, Dennis Smith, Pat Leahy, Robert Allwalt, Mark Robinson, Grant Fiesel, rhymes with Weasel, Eddie Murray, Jim Covert, Buford Jordan, Sterling Sharp, Mike Gann, Keith Byers, and we're going to put Keith Byers down here, Rick Fenney, and Jeff Cross. There's no, oh, right up on top. Look at this. Troy Aikman. Nice. Don Warren. Lee Williams. Anthony Toney. Scott Studwell. Again, looking studly. Sean Landetta. Jerry Gray. Kelvin Martin. Harris Barton. Steve Folsom. Vance Johnson. Al Toon. Rich Camparillo, Ron Hall, and James Jefferson. All right. We're down to about a half an hour before my family comes walking through the door. Eddie Murray, place kicker. Jim Covert, we've seen this before. Buford Jordan, another Sterling Sharp. So I already got one down here. Mike Gann, Keith Byers, Rick Fenney, Jeff Cross, Mike Dial, Phil Simms. He's a rookie all the way in 83? No, 1980 was his rookie. They don't put all of the stats on there, I guess. Gerald Williams, Jackie Slater, Don Beebe, Clay Matthews, Walker Lee Astley. All right. I think the most special cards out of here are these all-pro cards. There's no autographs or anything like that, unfortunately. Jerry Gray, Kelvin Martin, Harris Barton, Steve Folsom, Vance Johnson, Al Toon, Rich Camarillo, Ron Hall, James Jefferson. Hey, here's a Rod Woodson all-pro. We got 3 all-pros. Lomas Brown, Kevin Butthead Butler, Jim Wilkes, Chris Jackie, and a Deion Sanders. Sitting a little low on the card, but I like it. All right. Rick Fenney, Jeff Cross, Mike Dial. There's Phil Simms again. Gerald Williams, Jackie Slater, Don Beebe, Clay Matthews, Walker Lee Ashley, Kevin Fagan, Jason Grimsley, Darrell Green, Lee Johnson, Steve Atwater, and Martin Bayless. He has no bays. All right. Steve Grogan. That's got to be a shadow. I don't think that's an ink error. Neil Anderson. Jim Jeffcoat. Morton Anderson. Otis Anderson. Really? Morton, Neal, and Otis. Jerome Brown, Bill Brooks, Mike Harden, Vince Newsom, Scott Reddick, Charles Haley, Alonzo Highsmith, Greg Cragen, Troy Benson, and Roy Green. That was a lot of Andersons. All right. We're about halfway through the box. On target to rip the last pack at about 7:05. Joe Montana All-Pro right there on top. Nice. Oh, there's a little scratch. There's a little scratch in the card. Still a good card. Lomas Brown is the next one. Here's Butthead. Jim Wilkes, Chris Jackie, Deion Sanders, Clyde Simmons, Kirk Laudermilk, Jeff Dallenbach, Bo Jackson. All right, put him up back here. Lionel Manuel, Lewis Lips. We'll put Lewis Lips down here. Jim Everett, Andre Reed, Eric Metcalf. Holy cow, that was a great pack. Jeez, hey, hit that like button for that pack. All right. All right, Tom Tupa. We haven't seen him yet, so the cards in here should be new. Mark Carrier. All right. Joe Nash, Jerry Ball, Mike Tomczak, one of the 3 million quarterbacks the Bears have had since they started playing. I think they play football. Bobby Hebert, Blair Bush, Sean Collins, Keith Jackson. Why do I feel like Keith Jackson should go somewhere? Hassan Jones, Hugh Green, Mervin Fernandez, Pepper Johnson, John Reinstra, and Leroy Irvin. All right. Hey, if you're just joining, I appreciate you spending some time here. If we get 30 likes, we're going to open up a few of these 1987 Topps packs, looking for the Randall Cunningham rookie. Bill Fralick, John Telschik, Keith Millard, Pete Stoyanovich, Jay Schrader, Carl Banks, Merrill Hodge, Willie Anderson, Thurman Thomas. Nice looking card there. Felix Wright, Derek Thomas, John Taylor, Johnny Meads, and Wilbur Marshall and David Fulcher. All right. We are under a time crunch here. 1990 Fleer football. The whole box, we got to rip it by within the next 20 to 25 minutes. Joey Browner, John Offerdahl, Eddie Anderson, Leonard Marshall, Rod Woodson, Henry Ellard, Scott Norwood, choke artist, Thane Gash, I don't know how else to put it, Nick Lowry, Mike Coffer, Bruce Matthews, Daryl Grant, Icky Woods doing the Icky Shuffle, John Elway, and Leslie O'Neill. You know, I just thought of something. Where's that Montana? Where's that Montana? Because there's an error with the Montana. Where'd it go? There it is, Joe Montana. The yards and touchdown stat are switched. Nope, this is the corrected one. TDs and yards are switched, so it looks like he threw 26 yards, but got 3,900 TDs, and that's funny as hell. Looks like we have a corrected box. All right, we are 20-ish minutes away from finishing this box. We're looking for 30 likes. We're only at 6, and there's 12 people in here, 8 people in here. Double tap that screen. We're going to get to 30 and open up those 1987 packs. Thane Gash, Nick Lowry, Mike Coffer, Bruce Matthews, Daryl Grant, Icky Woods again, and John Elway again. Leslie O'Neill, Dwayne Biquette, Ricky Reynolds, Steve Grogan, so that's not an ink error, that's just a shadow. Neil Anderson, Jim Jeffcoat, Morton Anderson, and Otis. There it is. All 3 Andersons. Neil, Morton, and Otis. That's great. All right. We are... Hey, too many cards. How are you, my friend? Thanks for showing up. I'll shout you out too, everyone. If you don't know Too Many Cards, his name's a little bit of a misnomer because there's no such thing as too many cards. Go ahead, check him out. He does lives and sells on Whatnot. Does a lot of shorts. Great guy. John Reinstra starts us off. Leroy Irvin, Jim Kelly. We're just loading them all up here. Webster Slaughter, Albert Lewis, Roger Craig, Warren Moon. I don't want to put him in front of any of those. Ricky Sanders, James Brooks, Steve Sewell. Spin it around for Tim Spencer, Chip Banks, William Howard, Bob Perryman, and Steve Mongo McMichael. Yeah, rest in peace, Mongo. I got to put him somewhere. He was a horrible wrestler, but it was always fun because he was a bear. When he'd come out with the 4 horsemen and wrestle poorly, it was always a good time. Lars Tate. No, you got, no. Your shelves aren't big enough. Your shelves just aren't big enough. You can only, there's deeper shelves. You could actually like twirl in the room. If you can spin around with your arms out, you've got room for more. Chris Spielman, Richard Dent, Eric Martin, Mark Murphy, Ron Heller, and Ron Heller. All right, here. Too many cards. Is it just a coincidence that there are 2 Ron Hellers in the league at the same time? That's Wade Wilson, EJ Jr., Steve Smith, Dave Meggett, Thomas Everett, Buford McGee, and Larry Kinnebrew. Yeah, hit that like button because at 30, I'm only asking for 30. We got a couple of 1987 Topps football wax packs in the back there. We're going to rip that looking for the Randall Cunningham rookie or second-year Jerry Rice. All right. John, settle in because we only got a quarter of this box left. Rich Carless, Bart Oates. Where's Hall? Greg Lloyd, Matt Barr, Michael Carter, Jim Lachey, Tim Crumbry, Johnny Hector, Anthony Bell, Randy Grimes. We got a pro card behind here. Kelly Stufer. Too many cards is working harder for the likes than I am. All pro. He's a Cardinal. Rich Camarillo. I guess you got to have an all-pro punter. We got Jim Arnold and Vesti Jackson. All right. Nine likes. Heck, you know what? I'll settle for 25. I really want to open them. I'm probably going to open them anyways. But I mean, liking the video, it doesn't hurt. Unless you got a finger injury, you can do that. Ed West and a checklist. Huzzah. Andre Bruce, Rich Gannon, Jeff Hostetler with that 70s porn stash I remember him having. David Little, Brian Brennan, Pete Mandley, Chip Lowmiller, Jason Buck, James Hasty, Tom Tupa, Mark Carrier, Joe Nash, and we're going to end with Jerry on the ball. Here we go. All Pro right up on top. Steve Atwater. How many are in this? It's 25 cards, and I think I've pulled about 7 or 8 of them. All right. Benny Blades, Keith Van Horn, Craig Hayward, Robert Brown, Scott Fulhag, maybe, I don't know, Chris Carter, Ray Berry, hey, Dan Marino again. Pulled him a couple of times. Steve Berline, Mark Bavaro, Keith Willis, Tom Newberry, Pete Metzelaars. We're going to end with Frank Minifield. Only 4 million. I picked up 7 boxes of 1990 Fleer football this past weekend. That accounted for about a third of what I got in the whole deal. Mostly football. I got 1 wax box of O-Pee-Chee hockey. Steve Walsh, Sam Mills, Ed Reynolds, Randall Cunningham. We could pull his rookie in those 87 packs if you just hit that like button. We got to get to 25. Mark Clayton, Howie Long, Eugene Lockhart, Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith, nice. Bubba Paris, Lorenzo White, Dennis Smith, Pat Leahy, Robert Awalt, Mark Robinson, Gary Fiesel. If you're just joining us, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time in here. We're ripping this 1990 Fleer football box. We're trying to get it done in about the next 20 minutes. Roland James, Bob Gagliano, Bill Bates. We want 25 likes, and we're going to give you a couple bonus packs in the back. They're 1987 tops. Looking for a Randall Cunningham rookie. Travis McNeil, Tony Castillas, Gary Zimmerman, Doug Reisberg, Derek Hill, Andre Ware, Andre there. Mike Walter, Gerald Riggs, Anthony Munoz, Ken O'Brien, JT Smith. All right. Let's move the stack and rip a pack. So how is everybody going to spend their long weekend? Who's grilling? Johnny Rembert, Jeff Criswell, Earl Farrell, Winston Moss, Jeff Bryant, Rodney Pete, Jay Hildenberg, Stan Brock, Keith Woodside, Bill Freilich, John Teltschik, Keith Millard, Pete Stoyanovich, Jay Schrader, and Carl Banks. All right. 11 likes. We are almost halfway there. 25 of them, and we get some bonus packs. Eddie Murray, Jimbo Covert, Buford Jordan, Sterling Sharp, Mike Gann, Keith Byers, Rick Fenney, Jeff Cross, Mike Dial. There's Phil Sims. We got him a few times. Gerald Williams, Jackie Slater, Don Beebe, Clay Matthews, and Walker Lee Ashley. All right, we are Ooh, we got the bottom there. 2, 4, 5 packs left. In about 10 minutes to do it. Leonard Smith. Reggie Langhorne. Stefan Page. Keena Turner. Like I said, Tina Turner's brother. Drew Hill. Art Monk. Put up the Hall of Famer. Bruce Ramirez. Carl Mecklenburg. Gil Bird. Clarence Verdon. Broderick Thomas. Cedric Jones. James Thornton. Steve Walsh. And Sam Mills. We are down to our last 4 packs. Leon White starts off this pack. Marion Butts. Michael Ball. Ron Stallworth. Fred Marion. Chris Barr. Nate Newton. Brian Noble. Checklist. Huzzah. Kenneth Sims. Mark Logan. Marcus Allen. I remember I had his 83 card. I actually did an 8th grade report on the career of Marcus Allen. Tim Worley, I don't even remember anything that I did. Greg and Steve DeBerg. I don't remember any of the facts from that report. All right, we are down to our last 3 packs. Yeah, 3 packs. All right, double tap that screen. Martin, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. If you haven't already, double tap that screen and like the video. We're trying to get to 25 to open up a couple of bonus packs of 1987 Topps. Dwayne Biquette starts us off. Ricky Reynolds, Steve Grogan, Neil Anderson. This is going to be the Anderson pack again. Here, let's get rid of Jim Jeffcoat. All right, so there's Jim. We got Neil Anderson. We got Morton Anderson. And we got Otis Anderson. Jerome Brown. Bill Brooks. Mike Harden. Vince Newsom. Scott Redsick. Charles Haley. Alonzo Highsmith. And Greg Cragen. I mean, it's junk wax, so the collation is pretty predictable. Last 2 packs. 2-pack magic. Let's go. Kelly. Oh, we got a fancy one. Kelly Stuffer. Who's this going to be? It's a Bill. Is it Bruce Smith? Thurman Thomas? Andre Reed? It's Andre Reed. There we go. Jim Arnold. Look at him stretch out like that. I can't, even in my best days, I wasn't able to get my body in that position. Vesty Jackson, Robert Massey, Brent Fullwood, Chris Miller, Mike Quick, Joey Browner, John Offerdahl, Eddie Anderson. There's another Anderson. Leonard Marshall, Rod Woodson, Henry Ellard. We're going to end with Scott Norwood. Just one of those field goals, Scotty. All right, last pack magic. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Rodney, there's nothing special in here. So I have only gotten one Barry Sanders. So maybe we'll get another one. Rodney Holman. Jim McMahon. I forgot he played for the Chargers. Was that before or after the Eagles? No, that was before the Eagles. John Hand. Freddie Joe Nunn. Tim Goad. Eric Sanders. The right team, wrong Sanders. Mike Saxon. Ken Rutgers. Rufus Porter, John Settle, Rich Carless, Bart Oates, Greg Lloyd, Matt Barr, and Michael Carter. That is going to finish off this whole box in less than 45 minutes. 36 packs of 1990 Fleer. All right, let's tease you. 1987 top. Should I just do it? I'll do one. Just, I've seen someone else come in there as 12. All right, 12 is good enough. Let's go, let's go. I actually got about a third of a box from the National a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And this is from that stack. All right. There we go. Here's the gum. Doesn't look too bad. Let's go for it. Sam Snead, the golfer. The gum is, it's moist, it's true, it doesn't snap. All right. Giants, Bavaro pulls free. Bob Crabble. Hey, Jim Kelly. Cards are a little warped. You know what? A good book will fix that. Reggie Camp. Ronnie Lott. There we go. Tim Harris. Richard Dent. Wow, this pack's on fire. A little off center, but you know what? I'll take it. We got a Drew Hill. Uh-oh. Okay. Is this Jerry? Is that Jerry? No, it's a running back. Joe Cribbs. Uh-huh. And my kitty cat just got fed. There we go. Roy Foster. Cedric Mack. Matt Booza. Dean Steincaller. Phil Freeman. Leslie O'Neal. Super rookie. And Randy McMillan. All right. You know what? That was a nice pack. Got one more. Ooh, should I do it? All right, let's see some fire in the chat. If I get enough fire, I'm not even asking you to like it. I got to start cleaning up in like 2 minutes, so just let's get some fire in that chat, and we're gonna rip this. I really would like the I don't know which one I want more, the Rice or the Cunningham. I think I'd want the Rice. All right, here we go. All right, I've already had my one stick of gum, so I'm not going to eat that. All right, we'll just do this. Jay Hildenberg on the Bears. Walter Stanley. Reggie Roby. Dwight Stevenson. Stump Mitchell. We got a Dan Marino passing leaders. Max Runiger. I hear the garage door opening. My family's home, so we're going to get through this. George Rogers. We got a Steve Largent. I totally forgot about him. Steve Largent, 1,000 Yard Club. Mike Harden. Philip Epps. There's a Dan Hampton to go with the Richard Dent. Those two would pancake you. Pat Ryan, Lewis Breeden, Sammy Winder, and we're going to end with the Seahawks team. Warner finds an opening, and it's got the gum stain. All right, well, no Rice, no Cunningham, but you know what? Got some of my favorite Bears players. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We open up 2 Junk Wax era packs every single day. We do a bunch of goofy videos in between. So I'm going to clean up and bid you all a good night.